I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good morning and welcome to our Tuesday morning, February 20th meeting of the Board of County Commissioners. My name is Andy Hunthausen. To my left, Commissioner Tom Rolfe. Good morning.
Good morning, sir.
To his left, Lawrence Liston. Hello, good morning. She'll be taking care of us today. To my right, Commissioner Candace Payne. Good morning. Keegan Shea, Deputy County Attorney, and Roger Baltz, our Chief Administrative Officer. Welcome, gentlemen. There's a sign-in sheet in the front as well as agendas. And we encourage folks to sign in prior to leaving today so we have a good record of who has attended our meeting. We do not have any consent action items today. Mr. Baltz, you're off the hook. And we have one very important item on the agenda today, which is a public hearing, review of environmental review record associated with the Courthouse Elevator Replacement Project. Good morning.
Good morning, Commissioners. For the record, my name is Jenny Chambers, Public Works Director for the county. As Commissioner Hunthausen indicated, today is a public hearing to review the environmental review record associated with the Courthouse Elevator Replacement Project. Public involvement is an important part of this review. In addition, this evaluation is a requirement of the Department of Commerce Historical Preservation Grant application that will be brought before you on February 29th for your consideration. As part of this grant application and to comply with the Montana Environmental Protection Act, also referred to as MEPA, we follow the environmental review process to determine any findings or mitigation efforts needed to hear public input and comments, and then we'll make a final environmental determination on this project. The proposed project scope of this work is to upgrade the existing 4-stop elevator and install an attic lift to facilitate document retrieval and storage and building maintenance activities in the attic of the courthouse. The estimated total project cost based upon a supplier quote and also working with the architecture design elements for this project is $995,853. Assuming we are successful with the available $500,000 Montana Historical Preservation Grant, and then matching that with $495,853 of our matching funds that is currently allocated in our Public Works Capital Improvement funds, we feel we would have enough to complete this project. A legal notice was advertised in the Helena Independent Record on February 10th and February 17th as required. Public comments were accepted, and as of this morning, we have received none. The current proposed environmental review record concluded that the project is considered excluded from any further environmental assessment consideration due to the minor impact on the proposed work of the historical building. We're basically just replacing the elevator in the current shaft and then doing an elevator lift on the attic portion. So there's not a lot of historical significant changes to the building that we needed to worry about. However, this is a public hearing to review any additional public comments or to address any questions regarding the project and environmental process. In addition, as the project team, we had help from Pam Attardo, the Historical Preservation Officer, and also Mac McCarley, who's here, the Public Works Building Supervisor, to help address any questions that you guys may have. All comments and input will be considered and evaluated, and then a final environmental determination will be made and brought to you, the commissioners, on February 29th. Happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. So just off the bat, Director Chambers, to sum it up, essentially, because we want to replace this elevator that exists in the historic courthouse, we must go through this process of looking at the proposed project and what it might, the impacts it might have to the historic structure and the historic building. That's essentially the nutshelling this, right?
Yep, Commissioner Hunthausen, that's correct. You have to comply with Montana Environmental Protection Act, basically evaluating any environmental impacts. We had determined that there's not any significant impacts based upon our EA review, but we want to hear from the public on that as well. The mitigation effort we would have is during the project design and elements before we start construction, we'll coordinate with the county's Montana Historical Preservation Officer, as well as the State Historical Preservation Office, SHPO, just to make sure that when we get the final design before we start construction, that there's no impacts associated with that. So we'll just make sure we continue to follow through on anything that we may need to change during the design elements. But initially, And initial findings is there's not any major impacts anticipated.
Great. Thank you very much. Commissioners, how about questions? Any questions?
If I might, go ahead.
Commissioner Payne.
Go ahead.
Commissioner, Chairman, Commissioner Payne, great question. The current elevator is a 1984 elevator. There's a chance it has a lot of maintenance requirements on it. We are constantly having a preventive maintenance contractor doing repairs. There's a risk that it could fail and that we would have to shut down the elevator. And as you're probably aware, this is the only access up to the second and third floor of the building. And so to accommodate the courthouses, the judges' schedules, things like that, we wanted to proactively come up with a place to replace the elevator. It's a 4-stop elevator system. That's an older power source. The upgrade would be a hydraulic system that would be more energy efficient, be better sustained and last us another 20, 30 years moving forward. So there's a risk that it's going to fail. There's a need to upgrade that for energy efficiencies and project plans, and then to do it in a proactive fashion so that we have less downtime based upon the schedule on the project. If it was to fail, we'd probably about 1.5 years by the time you do the design and build and construction. If we plan for that and start construction, will probably be a 6-month project that the elevator will be out of commission. So just trying to proactively look in the future on upgrades that are needed.
Recycling, using, for example, the bridges. The replacement bridges, so this one's going to use it over here. Is there, are they going to be able to do this with this elevator? Turn on my, hello. Sorry
Thank
about
you.
that. Flo, does that impact your record keeping? I'm sorry, I didn't notice it. So is there any chance this stuff can be reused, or is it all going to the landfill?
Mr. Chairman, Commissioner Payne, I don't think I can specifically answer that question. There's certainly going to be some components of the current elevator that are probably going to be reused and recycled. But we will really have to look at the design. As far as the motor, some of the main hydraulic components of this 4-lift, most likely not. No different with the bridge. We're not going to reuse a bridge if it's met its life expectancy based upon what the beams or structures of those are. But if there are reusable items, we'll certainly try to manage that with the cost. But maybe Building Supervisor Mac McCarley could answer that more specifically. But we also want to make sure that we're not using 30-year-old, 40-year-old equipment on something that we're trying to do brand new to try to prevent ongoing failures moving forward. So,
Okay.
anything to add?
I would be delighted if
Okay.
Matt could address my concerns.
Good morning, Mr. McCarley. Just give us your
Morning,
stats for the record there.
Mac McCarley, Supervisor at Buildings Division for Public Works. Morning, Commissioners. So, like Andy said, kind of in a nutshell, what we're doing is we're replacing a 40-year-old hydraulic elevator that uses a 15-horse electric motor at 100% every time the car moves in any direction with what they call an eco track elevator that uses counterbalance weights and has a 6-horse motor that only runs at a certain percentage depending on the amount of weight in the car and the direction of travel. So energy-wise, it's a huge savings. It'll cut costs by 75%.
I love these guys. You know, this makes sense to me. I appreciate, you know, taxpayers look at this and they, why the heck do they need a new elevator when we need da da da? But thank you, Mac. I appreciate that explanation. Perfect.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you,
Any
Commissioner.
other-
Commissioner Rawl.
And you might just share what you shared with me a little while ago about how inflation is just eating our lunch on this thing.
So, Commissioners, in 2011, when the county engaged with the Amorisco project to go green in their buildings, this is an item that we actually brought up at that time. And for an elevator to replace the 4-stop with a 5-stop, being an eco elevator and going all the way to the attic, we had a proposal from Kone for $107,000. And at the time, one of our representative from Northwestern Energy, we had him crunch the numbers he believed that the energy savings on that elevator would have paid for itself in 18 months.
Wow.
Amorisco did not do elevator work. We had such a huge project going with Amorisco. It kind of fell by the wayside 3 years ago when we started having some issues with the elevator again. We reached back out to Kone to redo that proposal for us. At the time, they just did a proposal to just change out 4 stops and not take it to the attic. And it had already increased to 348,000. That's when we started putting money in the CIP to start working toward it. Now, here we are 3 years later. We've asked for the updated numbers again for the grant. And now it's over 500,000 just to change out the elevator that's there and not extend it. So instead of extending it, which they believed would be an even greater cost, we were looking at a material lift to go from the 3rd floor to the attic, separate from the elevator project itself.
So inflation just has really made this an expensive project, but needs to be done to make the building functional for us.
Yes, sir. As the director said, Commissioner, if we plan this and we work with the judges, and I will tell you, in my 20 years, this has come up several times. Every time it came up, and you started talking about the downtime for the elevator, that's kind of where the talks quit, but it's getting to be a reality now. The judges believe they can make it work, that we can put some systems in play to cover the downtime. But if it's all planned, 6 to 8 month max would be the downtime. We're hoping for the 6 month. But like she said, if we're not prepared, we don't have parts ready and everything, and it goes down now, we're probably looking at probably minimum 18 months. I don't know if y'all remember, but we lost a shaft to the public elevator in the jail. And just to replace that shaft, we were down a little better than 7 months. So it would be critical in the courthouse to be down that long.
All right. Thank you. And the other side of it is this is not just a historic building for our county, it's also plays in the history of our state. And I don't know, I see Miss Attardo's here. We might have her comment about how the historical background there as well.
Mr. McCarley, before I let you get away though, I have one more. And I'm gonna ask you just come a little closer to the microphone because Flo has to listen to this later and then type minutes from this. So a lot of
Sir.
times I'm talking like this and I hear from folks like, you need to talk into your microphone. So anyway, no big deal, but wanted to just get you closer there. So speak to the Director Chambers' initial comment. She spoke to the scope of the project, but just speak to the issue with the what is the top floor, the attic we call it, where there's a ton of storage, and how this project could impact access to that and our ability to manage that space better.
Yes, sir. Commissioners, so we have probably about 1,800 to 2,000 boxes of files from the county attorney, from the clerk of courts, from the district courts, some of the city courts before they moved out, and the JP court up in the attic. And we have to constantly move those up and down a flight of stairs. So eventually we hope that there's a records management plan that'll find us a place to move them somewhere else, because we do have some weight limit issues up there that we're concerned with. Along with that, we have all but one mechanical system is located in the attic or on the roof. So also those parts, which aren't light, some of them are pretty tough to manhandle, but we have to carry them up, not only the flight of stairs, but we also have to get them to the roof after we get up there. So there's a huge need, always has been, for one, and our maintenance staff ain't as young as they used to be. So we're looking for some help.
Thank you. Okay. Any other questions for Mr. McCarley right now? All right.
No.
Thank you.
Pam Attardo's with us today. Pam, it sounds like might be a question for you as well. Pam is a historic preservation officer for city and county. Good morning. If you'd give us your information too prior to our questions.
Sure. Good morning, Chair and Commissioners. My name is Pam Attardo. I am the Heritage Preservation Officer for Lewis and Clark County. And so regarding your question, Commissioner Ralph, regarding the courthouse. So it was built in 1887 was when it was completed. And at that time, of course, we were still a territory. We didn't become a state until 1889. And so it housed the territorial capital. If you go on the second floor of the building, there is a plaque honoring the fact that this was our state capital before we had one, before we were even a state. So it's a pretty historic spot, one that you want to protect.
Absolutely. Okay. Any
Thank you.
further questions for?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any further presentation, Director Chambers, you'd like to add?
Chairman, just one point of clarification. This project has been something that's been talked about for many years. Some of the reasons I think the county chose to kind of really slow walk this and really proactively think about the way to approach it moving forward was just the logistical challenges that that's going to take. So once you get a contractor in place, once you determine where that's going to be, it's going to take a lot of coordination with the judges, the clerks, the folks that rely on that use of that building, including the public. So we just started having conversations through a courthouse coordination meeting with some of the judges and some of the clerk of staff over there as well, and told them this is going to be a needed project moving forward. They felt that there's a way to manage that and wanted to just let us continue to pursue that. And we're excited about the opportunity for the grant application. So I think we'll have good partnership on this. I think once we determine to move forward with the project, we'll have good support from the judges on this effort, and we'll be able to logistically manage any of the court's concerns or clerks of staff's concerns based upon the project. So it's good timing now, based upon the project efforts.
Great. Thank you very much. Okay, this is a public hearing, so we will open the public hearing. Any public testimony on this item? Any public testimony on this particular item? All right, seeing no public come forward, we'll close the public hearing. Commissioners, what would be your pleasure? Further discussion and or a motion, please.
Mr. Chairman, I would move the, I guess if the proper motion, it would be to move forward for one more meeting. Is that right?
Director Chambers, if you come forward, I guess, and procedurally just make sure we're understanding it. So is to accept the review or?
Commissioner Rolfe, my suggestion would be that you would close the public hearing, allow us direct staff to go back and evaluate the environmental record. I'll come forward with you on February 29th for a final environmental review determination.
Okay.
Great. Thank you. Sorry about that. Commissioner should have given a little more direction, but now we have it. So
Okay.
go ahead.
So I would move that we close the public hearing, send it back for another analysis by the staff, and for the final decision on February 29th.
Second.
Moved and seconded to close the hearing and have the environmental review record assessed by staff, bring back a final recommendation to this commission on the 29th at a regular scheduled meeting. Any further discussion, commissioners?
I think this, just to, Mr. Chair, if I might, I think this is an example of what inflation's done to us. And I appreciate the staff has been putting money aside for this so that it isn't all going to be new money, and hopefully we can get the grant to help pay for it. And we can use the historical background to encourage the state to a little bit more to support us. So I think it's a good idea. It's something that we need to do.
Thank you, Commissioner. Anything further?
No.
All right. All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. Appreciate all your help today, you folks. We're at that time in the meeting where we will take public comment on any item that is under the jurisdiction of the commission, but not on today's agenda. Is there any public comment? Any public comment? All right. Seeing no one come forward, we will stand adjourned. Thank you all very much. Good morning. You just visiting? Just visiting us today? Yeah. Oh, you're a reporter. Okay, you're with the IR? Oh, good. Well, I'd love to meet you.